Hi guys, my name is Gabrielle Malabanan.
What's up? The name's Jonathan.
Hi, I am Maria-Sophia Palomares.
Anyong, Sawilly Tagusi.
Hey fellas, the name's Maleha. Riza's the name. Riza Genterolizo. Hey, Nixe Camandan.
Hi, I am Leslie M. David, and welcome to this presentation.
The Philippines has numerous texts and materials that tells its history. Every historian has different lens and their delivery of events. So take a seat and blast on the intro. It was 29th December 1896, the day before his execution. He was finishing his final poem in the script while having meeting with his final visitors, his family, friends, friars, government officials, spouse, and among others. According to Zaide and Zaide, it was around 12 noon to 3:30 p.m. where it was speculated that if he finished ni Ultimo Adios and hid the paper inside the alcohol cooking stove since he was left alone in his cell at Fort Santiago during these hours. Well, that's clever. Way of sneaking important notes.
Written in Spanish, the original paper was left untitled. The Filipino priest, Father Mariano de Caray, gave the title Ultimo Adios, which first published in La Independencia back in 1898. 2 years after Dr. Rizal's tragic demise, at 4 o'clock p.m., as our hero's mother Doña Tudora and his sister Trinidad were making an exit from his cell, Rizal whispered to Trinidad, "There's something inside." Handing over the alcohol cooking stove, his dear sister quickly understood what Rizal meant since he taught her English. Now, let us dive to the main gist, the extract of the famous farewell poem, shall we?
Mi Ultimo Adios was written by Dr. Jose Rizal while he was kept prisoner at the Fort Santiago in the hours where he was left alone in his prison in December 29, 1896. The poem talks about how humongous his love for this country, the sorrows his heart was carrying because of the filth, the malady, referring to the corrupt friars and colonial government officials, the acceptance of his sealed fate. Ma'am, excuse me, but speaking of the sealed fate, did you mean Jose Rizal's vision his own death? The one he was studying in Madrid, Spain? He has a making of seer, does he? Yes, me from the past. In his diary entry on January 1, 1883 says so. The entry goes, 2 nights ago, that is 30th of December, I had a frightful nightmare, imitating an actor dying on stage. I felt vividly that my breath was failing and I was rapidly losing my strength. Then, my vision became dim and dense. Darkness enveloped me, they are pangs of death. So yes, me from the past, along with other similar incidents, he is somehow his own seer.
More of that, Mi Ultimo Adios tackles his burial request through fate, the mystery, him bidding goodbye to his friends, family, and other people he cared for, his dreams, and how he fought a non-violent battle against the dark forces, the best he can until he finally kicks the bucket. Dr. Jose Rizal crafts these messages in rhymes blanketed with his intellect on Spanish language, culture, philosophy, and literature.
Now, to analyze the poem, we must analyze the stanzas and reflect it on today. Take it away, Lance and company.
Thanks, Jonah. Moving on, the poem Mi Ultimo Adios has been translated and analyzed by local scholars. But what if we dissect the lines of the poem in a foreigner scalpel and observe each tissue that makes Mi Ultimo Adios significant to this day? Let us analyze Rizal's last furrow poem in the lens of an American historian, Austin Craig. As what Jonah mentioned earlier, his poem tells Jose Rizal's sorrows with the first 2 lines. Read, "Farewell, dear fatherland. Climb, O sun's caressed, pearl of the Orient seas, our Eden lost." This was his sorrow on our country being driven out of Eden, by which he meant driven out of the cradle of our pre-colonial culture. On the second verse, on the field of battle, mid the frenzy of light, others have given their lives without doubt or heat. The place matters not cypress or laurel or lily white. Scaffold or open plain, combat on martyrdom's plight. 'Tis ever the same to serve our home and country's need. Craig interprets the second verse that Pepe wasn't directly involved in an outgoing war, yet he will die like the famous Gomburza, a martyr. Furthermore, he commends the fighters, the radicalists, but not completely agreeing with them. In the third line, we can infer that Pepe welcomes and embraces the Grim Reaper's arms. The same can be observed in the fifth stanza.
The fourth stanza, which goes, "My dreams when life first opened to me. My dreams when the hopes of youth beat high. Were to see thy loved face, O gem of the Orient Sea, from gloom and grief, from care and sorrow free. No blush on thy brow, no tear in thine eye." Craig tells us the ideas that forged Rizal's way of thinking, when his body hasn't changed until his last breath. As he mentions, "O gem of the Orient Sea," it signifies our hero will leave this earthly realm in his own country as well. Stanzas 6 to 12 give us the details of his death, which is the timeline he was in based on the romantic structure of the poem during the late 1800s to early 1900s. In the line, "The crop that is to come," Jose refers to the youth, the hope, the future of this country. He tells us that his earthly body would contribute nutrients to the soil for the future, writing like a scientist indeed. In the lines, "Adios, dulce extranjera, mi amiga, mi alegría," Craig assumes Rizal is saying goodbye to his lady love, his spouse Josephine Bracken. Furthermore, in the last two lines of the 13th stanza, which goes, "For I go where no slave before the oppressor bends, where fate can never kill and God reigns on high." Rizal, according to Craig, tells us that Rizal goes to the afterlife, where the true faith, the true church resides in a place far from the one he is living into. In the line, "Where no slave before the oppressor bends," Rizal meant a place opposite to the land, sick country where the last stanza wraps up by saying goodbye to all and finding solace in death. Ma'am, why did Dr. Jose Rizal left the top part of the paper blank? Oh, sorry, me from the past, forgot to discuss that. Pepe did that for one simple reason, to let the poem speak for itself. Craig tells the readers Rizal left it with some space in order for us to solve the puzzle on our own. Also, it shows Rizal's way of thinking. Pepe teaches readers like how he teaches his students to figure out the solution on their own. Beyond the fog of mystery, he crafted to fathom today. Mi Ultimo Adios proves to be a significant piece of literature in Philippine history. Now, Nixe will explain how is it congruent to our society today.
Alrighty, thanks for that in-depth analysis, Maleha and Lance. Now we... Ma'am, I get it that Mi Ultimo Adios is significant during his time and all that jazz, but how does it reflect us today? Well, supposed to discuss that before you interrupted me from the past, but good question though. Mi Ultimo Adios still matters today because it mirrors issues in the Philippines such as journalist assassinations. Journalists such as Percy Lapid, Renato Blanco, Federico Pesao, and among others are some of the names headlined in the news in the topic of journalist killings in 2022 alone. Yes, they died in a different timeline, but they do share Rizal's cause to disseminate information for the betterment of the citizens of this country. And with this mission, their lives got dragged on the line. Rizal used the pen as means for the citizens to wake up and break the social chains. It was also his pen that he used to unleash his creativity, expressing his hopes for the youth and as his last way of saying goodbye. There is still one question that remains with this analysis. Are the youth of today's world live up to Rizal's vision of what he hoped for written in his farewell poem? I guess. Well, take it away, Sawilly.
To conclude, Rizal's Mi Ultimo Adios is a piece of paper that tells his story, the Philippines' past, and its future as well. In the interpretation of Austin Craig, the poem represents four main sides of Rizal: the patriot, the enigma, the writer, and the scientist. Like a performer, Mi Ultimo Adios was a Pepe's final bow to the drama of life. Despite the curtains now closed, his writings, his life plays a significant role in the shaping Filipino nationalism, in the midst of creating a shared sentiment that could fuel the upcoming changes. Oh my gosh! Time flies so fast. It's 7:03. Which reminds me, this time was the time when Jose...
In this video, you have learned Jose Rizal's Mi Ultimo Adios in terms of historical background,
Analysis, summary, and conclusion.
Special thanks to Ma'am Honey and all of these nice people who made this video possible.
So
Thank
much.
you
So much.